There's something in MMA that some fighters just have. It's this extra property that they have in their game, this extra ability. I like to call it the X factor. It is something that I believe separates a champion from those in his division. It's something that a fighter has that they're able to use to control a fight, to win fights, and often be the most dominant one in their division. And if we can define the X factor in MMA, it's a non-linear ability, right? It's something that isn't just used to score points, but rather to change a fight in its entirety. And this ability, as you'll see, is something that can't be ignored by opponents, and it forces the opponent to adapt to their fighting style rather than focusing on their own. I mean, a clear example, as we'll get to, is the grappling of Islam Makhachev. You can't just play your game and ignore the grappling of Islam Makhachev. You have to deal with it regardless of who he's fighting. And as I've said, this ability is not just dependent on who you're matched up against. He is the best grappler in his division, and so therefore you have to address it. And no matter what moment in the fight it is, no matter how hurt a fighter may be, this X factor will always exist. So let's get into it. This first fighter we're going to talk about, Alexandre Pantoja, I believe to be the real champion of the flyweight division, as he has not been beaten in a very, very long time. Joshua Van fluked an arm break over him. I don't consider that a victory. So, if we're going to discuss Alexandre Pantoja, I believe the thing that sets him apart from those in his division is his pressure, his pace, and his physicality. The way that he is always just on the gas pedal, moving forward. There's never a moment in an Alexandre Pantoja fight where he's slowing down, where he's not trying to overwhelm the person he's fighting with his strength. He's so strong for his division, and he utilizes that capability to its maximum potential. Every time he fights, he goes out to dominate somebody, not only with his technical abilities, but also with how he dominates them just in pure strength and girth, both on the feet and on the ground. We saw in that fight with Joshua Van that only lasted 30 seconds. Pantoja came out like a house of fucking fire, just cruising his way through Joshua Van, landing heavy leg kicks, heavy pressure, heavy boxing. And Joshua Van was doing his best to return, but it was obvious that he was immediately overwhelmed. I mean, the way that Pantoja fights is often like that of what you see on the regional scene, where guys come out just all fucking frenetic and shit, except it's controlled for him, and he knows what he's doing because it's been his best weapon the entire time that he's been champion, is his ability to overwhelm his opponents with his strength and with his pace and just pressuring them in general. So I think that this is the one thing that people have to deal with when they're fighting Pantoja, is just how physical he may be, because at the end of the day, no matter how technical somebody is, you have to remember that this is a fight. It's a fight, and fights are rewarded to those who are willing to put themselves in the fire and to impose their will on the other person. And I believe that Pantoja does that better than almost anybody, I'd say, in the whole UFC, but certainly in the flyweight division, I believe that that can be argued. So Pantoja's a special case of just pure willingness to go out there and sacrifice his well-being because he knows that it's going to overwhelm his opponents. So let's move on to our bantamweight champion, Peter Yan. Now, I know that it's like a running joke that Peter Yan downloads data in his fight, but I do truly believe that that is what he does, as evidenced by his victory over Merab. He starts slow in these fights, and he literally, he's like a computer. You watch as the fight goes on, his ability to counter in the wrestling, the grappling, the wrestling and the grappling and the striking. His counter ability is second to none, in my opinion. Again, what separates him from those in his division, and he just makes the best adjustments of anyone in his fights in that division. I mean, you watch him fight. again, his masterclass against Merab, it was clear he started out, he lost the first round. He did. And if he didn't, it was very close. But you could see as the fight progressed, Petr Yan was able to make in-fight adjustments and adapt to what Merab was doing to him in order to start imposing his will on the fight. Now, Petr Yan is also a highly skilled and highly technical boxer and grappler. His judo trips are a fucking thing of beauty. So, in my opinion, in order to beat Petr Yan, you have to be able to adapt to his adaptations, which is incredibly difficult to do. He literally, in fight, is adapting to your fight style and finding ways to overcome it, as evidenced by his fight with Merab. So, I think Petr Yan is an incredibly difficult fighter to beat, and the only way to beat him really is to continue to make him guess on the feet. That's what Sean O'Malley did. That's why Sean O'Malley was able to win. So I think moving forward, if those two had a rematch, it would have to play out in a similar fashion where Sean O'Malley is forcing Petr Yan to continuously adapt and then changing his ability on the feet throughout that fight. Keep making him guess with the feints, with the kicks and whatnot. And if you can't do that, Petr Yan will just start to dominate you as the fight moves forward. So let's move forward to Alexander Volkanovski, the current featherweight champion, who I believe his X factor and what separates him is his fight IQ. He is one of the smartest fighters that we've ever seen. I'd say he's up there with the likes of John Jones in that aspect. He's up there with John Jones just in general in his GOAT status, but Alex Volkanovski, the way that he is continuously feinting and setting things up on the feet, I mean, it's just a thing of beauty. He's never standing still. He's constantly in motion. He's pulling you into his shots, diving in, hitting you with combos, and then, slyly moving out of the way. I mean, the man is just, he's a ghost. It's so hard to beat Volk because of how intelligent he is, especially on the feet. But the man's been in the game, honestly, not that long, but his rise to the top happened very quickly after he started MMA, and I don't think that that was a fluke. I think that Volk is so intelligent when it comes to fighting that it's almost impossible to overcome his intelligence unless you have some sort of X factor that can lead you to end the fight. As we saw, I mean, the only guys to beat him so far have been Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria, who we'll get to later. And those two had fight-ending capabilities that I believe outweighed Volk's fight IQ, one X factor winning over the other. But you can't deny that Volk has just the greatest fight IQ of possibly anyone in UFC history. The way that he's able to blend striking and wrestling in such a seamless manner is just such a thing of beauty. He adapts mid-fight. He literally adapts mid-fight. He has some of the best game planning going into fights, and he's able to adapt. Even in that fight against Ilia Topuria, he was winning, quite honestly. Like, his ability to move on the feet and set things up is just beautiful, but Ilia has what I believe to be the strongest X factor in the UFC, which is just very difficult to overcome. And fight IQ can only take you so far, but I do believe it is what separates Volk from the rest of the fighters in his division. And as we move on to Ilia Topuria, I'm sure you could guess what his X factor is, and it's the fucking fists of doom that he has, where he can just knock you out at any fucking second. The man, his timing and accuracy on his boxing combinations, specifically his hooks and overhands, my God, it's beautiful to watch. I mean, if you were to take his power and put it in a vacuum, I would almost guarantee that it is more, but only slightly more than other people consider to have power in his division. But it's his timing and accuracy, his ability to perfectly place punches, on your chin, the tip of your chin or on your temple at such an insane speed is just, it's nuts. It's nuts the way he's able to place those punches and torque his entire body behind those punches to land them perfectly on your chin to knock you out cold. He has some of, if not the cleanest and crispiest boxing and boxing combinations in the UFC. And he knows that this is what he's good at. This is how he ends fights. This is how he wins fights. And maybe you would consider it a fluke and just say that he has power. But again, what separates him from just having power to this truly being an X factor is the fact that it's not just 1 or 2 or even 3 knockouts that he has. He does it over and over and over again in the same way. In the exact same way. He is placing punches absolutely perfectly on the chin of his opponents and knocking them out absolutely cold. And it's just beautiful, and I don't know how you beat that. Of course, Justin Gaethje will probably randomly fluke knock him out, but that's neither here nor there. Ilia Toporia's X factor is his fight-ending power that he holds in his hands, and it's evidenced by the number of knockouts that he has in the exact same fashion. I mean, you think about the Volk knockout, think about the Max Holloway knockout, think about the Charles Oliveira knockout, think about the knockout of Jai Herbert. Those are the ones that come to mind of just perfect boxing combinations landed with impeccable timing and accuracy and such torque behind them that it just puts you out cold. So let's now move on to the current welterweight champion, Islam Makhachev, and what I believe to be the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. It's his suffocating pressure that he has on the ground. I mean, next to Khabib, he's probably got the greatest ability in UFC history to pin an opponent on the ground and advance in that position and hold you in dominant positions for an entire fight. And you're never going to out-positional Islam Makhachev. If you're trying to win a positional battle against him and be more technical, it won't happen. So what do his opponents have to resort to? Creating scrambles in order to get out from underneath of his insane pressure. But the second that you create a scramble, scrambles are where submission threats open up. So now he traps you in this intense dilemma where you have to choose between being pinned and controlled on the ground or trying to stand up, trying to create a scramble, but then you're just opening yourself up to his wide variety of submissions that he can hit on you. I guess maybe not that wide of a variety, but he's so absolutely elite at getting them that, like I said, it creates an absurd dilemma for his opponents. You either stay down on the ground on your back and get controlled and smudged and pressed into the canvas, or you try to stand up and you get submitted. Look at all of the people he's submitted. It's because of that exact dilemma that he creates. And not to mention, while he's doing it, he doesn't waste any energy. I mean, the man has an insane gas tank to begin with, but his movements on the ground are so precise and so accurate, he wastes no energy. So while you're struggling to try and shrimp and get your guard back, he's just going to repass your guard. And when you struggle and force yourself up to the feet, he'll either drag you back down or submit you. And then when you're on the feet, you could even extend this suffocating positional pressure to the feet as well. The man stays so safe on the feet. He does enough damage to win fights, but on the ground is where I believe that he has that X factor of ending fights. So let's move on now to our middleweight champion, our freshly crowned middleweight champion in Sean Strickland. And what I believe to be his X factor and what separates him from the rest of the fighters at middleweight is his defensive shell that he possesses. Sean Strickland is, bar none, one of the most safe fighters on the feet. He is always moving forward and always pressuring you, but somehow it just feels impossible to hit him. I mean, you look at his career accuracy numbers in terms of the strikes landed on him, it's nuts. It's absolutely insane how hard it is to damage Sean Strickland on the feet. And while his fight style may lend itself to being boring, as staying safe is not exactly the most entertaining fight style, you have to respect the hell out of it. Because few men are able to enter the octagon and leave it unscathed, or at least as much as he does. It's impressive. And I believe that's what allowed him to reach the pinnacle of the middleweight division, is his ability to not let his opponents do damage to him on the feet. It's really insane to watch. And his distance management. He's always jabbing. He's always teeping. He knows exactly where you are. He knows exactly how far away from you he needs to be to land his strikes, while also not allowing you to land your strikes. And that Philly shell, what the fuck? Have you ever seen somebody make a Philly shell work in MMA? No, you haven't, because he's like the only person that has been able to make it work, and he does so beautifully because he doesn't get hit. He does get hit, but it's never with anything powerful, and he's always staying safe, and it frustrates the fuck out of his opponents. I mean, you look what he did to Hamzat, you look what he did to Israel Adesanya. Even in his losses to DDP said afterwards how hard it is to hit Sean Strickland and how safe he stays on the feet. So let's move on now to the true 205 champion. I wanted to include Alex Pereira because fuck Carlos Ulberg. Fuck Carlos Ulberg. So, Alex Pereira. If there was ever somebody in which you needed to describe an X factor, an intangible that you just can't describe, black magic if you were, it's this fucking guy. His left hook. What the fuck? What the fuck? The man just knocks people out with a fucking left hook. That's all he does. It's not all he does, but he is, I would say, the most dangerous striker in the UFC. I would put Ilia Topuria as the most dangerous boxer in the UFC. But Alex Pereira can knock you out with a left hook, but we've also seen him drop Magomed Ankalaev with an overhand right. We've seen him, against Ankalaev, get him to the ground and land the most disgusting ground and pound elbows I've ever seen. We've seen him knock out Yuri Prohaska with a head kick. The man can do it all on the feet. And at the end of it, when you're laying there, eyes up, looking up at the Jumbotron above you, laying face up on the canvas, just been knocked out cold, and this motherfucker's standing over you, Jama. Fuck you. Fuck you. That's what I'd be saying. So, the fact that this man is just a stone cold killer, his left hook is disgusting, and he's just the best striker in the UFC when it comes to knocking people out with a variety of strikes. The man's X factor is his left hook, and it's something you always have to be taking into consideration when fighting Alex Pereira. And finally, we'll move on to the heavyweight champion, Tom Aspinall, the true heavyweight champion, whose X factor I believe to be speed. This is what separates him from the entire heavyweight division. There's one man, Cyril Gane, who I believe to be of similar speed, but I still don't think he's as fast as Tom Aspinall is. Tom Aspinall moves like a fucking welterweight. It's crazy. He's 265 pounds, and he hops around like a fucking bunny on the feet, darts in, lands his 1-2. He's so explosive because of how heavy he is and how fast he's able to move. It doesn't make any sense watching him. And once he does hurt you, that's all he needs to finish the fight, is to land 1 or 2 clean punches. They don't even need to be clean. They just need to touch your head. And they're putting you away. And if not that, he's just going to dive at your legs, rugby tackle you, as he said, take you down, and submit you. His jiu-jitsu is also gross. So Tom Aspinall, I believe, his X factor is his speed. His ability to finish you both on the feet and on the ground because of how fast he can either knock you out or latch up submissions. truly is what separates him from the rest of the heavyweights. So I think the idea of an X factor is a little bit silly in MMA, but I do think that it exists. I really do. And it is something, an ability that someone has, but it's almost like innate to who they are as a fighter. And it's not a skill that is easily picked up by anyone else, if at all possible. So that's my take on this. And I do think that there are X factors, and obviously other fighters have them as well, but these are our current champions, and these are the abilities that I believe are what separate them from the rest of the pack, and what every opponent of theirs must take into consideration when fighting them. And if they don't, they will lose. So that's all I have for today. I hope y'all enjoy this. Let me know what you think about this concept of X factors in MMA down in the comments. Drop a like, subscribe, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.